Good day, everybody. Why is Andy dunking? Well, remember, he's taking us on a staycation and telling us all about our Yahoo Sports and NBA deal last week to bring the future of sports and entertainment to life. Not all. Last week, we also announced LTE home internet in 3 different cities. Pay attention to that because more on that with a chance to win shortly. And Hans will tell us more about what we're doing with LTE Home, and a lot of other things going on. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. It is Monday, August 3rd. Here we are in a new month, noon on the East Coast. Like I said, Hans is with us today answering a lot of your live questions that you've sent in this morning and the past couple of days. If you ever have more, you can send those to us live at Verizon.com. Before we get to him, though, I want to call out attention to Tropical Storm, nearly Hurricane Isaias, with its impacts to the southeast. Obviously, our teams are ready up and down the coast, everywhere from Florida up until Maine. Certainly my friends and family, if they're not watching the Weather Channel right now, they are prepped in Wilmington for another blow from another tropical storm. 5G roaming with South Korea, another 5G first that Hans will tell us about, and just announced not too long ago, another lineup of Pixel phones coming to Verizon very shortly. All the details there for you on Verizon.com. So let's get over to Hans before we get to the questions with a quick update. Hans, welcome back from vacation. How are you doing, my friend?
Thank you. I'm coming back from vacation, and you're going to pepper me with a lot of questions. That's not fair, but
welcome back.
I'm here. Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. Thank you. And hi, all V-teamers. Good to be back, and just a quick update, and then we can get to the questions. I mean, of course, we continue to monitor the situation with the pandemic, especially in the U.S. It continues in certain states to actually continue to escalate. And of course, that's worrisome for all of us. I have to say, we need to be very cautious, follow all the guidelines that we're giving out, and see that we can actually operate, especially for our frontline employees. I'm so proud of you guys, what you're doing and the way you're doing it. So continue to follow the guidelines, see that we are doing it the right way, and then we're going to fight this down. Ultimately, I don't know when, but it's just starting to wear on all of us, and this resurge as well of the pandemic, especially here in the U.S. We see a little bit better signs in the rest of the world at the moment, to be honest. On the business side, technology side, I have to say, very busy week last week, busy week this week. Jeremy mentioned, our technology team continue to killing it out there and doing first in the world by doing 5G roaming with South Korea. That means actually you can travel in between and keep your 5G signal. Not in the air, of course, but when you come down to Korea or you come from Korea to the United States. That's fairly complicated to make roaming on new technology. So I'm happy that we started, and this is, of course, the start of it, where ultimately we expect that all countries and all carriers will have their roaming system set up. Jeremy also talked about the new part of the new phones are coming out from Pixel. That's exciting. But I want to come back to the last week's announcement on the 4G home. This is an ambition we have had quite long, to see that we are starting addressing the rural broadband. And our technology team has developed now solutions that we can use 4G for it. There are other solutions in the future as well, but now we're 4G home. And I think it's an important job our teams are doing to see that we're bringing broadband to the most rural areas and including them in our society. There's a lot still work to be done here, and we just announced a couple of cities. We will continue to do the work, and now we have finally get this off the ground. Another press release from today is that Verizon Business Group continue to add a lot of support to states' education opportunity and challenges, seeing that they are giving technology, home connectivity or school connectivity for the students that now are going to go back in some mixed mode, as it looks like. You cannot generalize in the US at least, because they are both remote and in class, and some mix as well, depending a little bit on municipality, state, and city. So, but it's great to see that we are part of delivering that service, and it tells a lot about our federal team, how great they are working with the customers, and seeing that we're part of delivering that. So all in all, good. Finally, just want to mention last week we when I talked about the Citizen Verizon, which is, of course, our way of packaging how we are addressing the society stakeholder in our strategy. We had our first Citizen Verizon assembly last week. 1 million live attendance. That tells you a little bit how we are driving this forward, and I think the team is doing great. And again, it's part of our strategy that we are doing digital inclusion, climate protection, and human prosperity. All of them is part of our overall strategy, and now we're just packaging and call it the Citizen Verizon. And a great response from the beginning. But again, you all know that this is part of our strategy from Verizon 2.0. This is just for us to continue to see that we're engaged with all our stakeholders in a great way. And last time I was on this call, we talked a lot about the shareholders as the stakeholders. And I guess, and I hope, there are going to be some questions after our earnings call, which me and Matt talked about last time I was on Up to Speed. So, Jeremy, back to you.
Good. Hans, thank you so much, covering a lot of ground there. Some of the questions you've already started answering, so I'll mark those off the list. But want to
Sorry.
It's all good. That gives us more time for something new here. So got a question in from one of our field techs, Dwayne, in the field. Want to go ahead and roll that question for you.
Good afternoon, Hans. Dwayne Kirks here from Brooklyn, New York. I am proud to see how we responded compared to other companies that I had seen. We're learning. Did we take from this response, and are they being incorporated into future events response plans?
That's a great question, and of course, first of all, I think no one is really prepared for this pandemic and economic downturn and racial injustice and everything that has happened. But we are good when it comes to crisis because we can organize ourselves. So that learning we will always have and bring with us. I think a couple of other learnings is, of course, the process innovation. If that's Fios in a box, or it's curbside delivery, or is the way we're now having touchless retail, those we will continue with for sure. But also how we are setting up our offices, we will continue to lead with that. And I have to say, we have learned that we can work much more remotely and have efficiency. I still think that meeting people and being in groups are important, but I think that that's some learning will bring, and I think it will bring more flexibility for us as employees. And actually creating an even better working environment at Verizon. And, we have our number one, we want to be the number one choice as an employer. This, I think, will help us. So, yes, definitely. A lot of things we will bring with us from process improvements that we have done, and also the way we have been focusing and working together in these times. Virtually, that's something we need to learn. I'm going to bring with me how we work with Up to Speed. I'm going to bring with me definitely how we are conducting board meetings, executive meetings on Blue Jeans, because that's something you need to learn and improve. So yes, it's a lot of things we're bringing with us, and that there are some hands-on examples.
Good. And I know, what you and Christy have told us all along, more updates to come. We're seeing how this all plays out and what that all means. Next question, another video question. This one came in from David Russell, who's part of the Wireline Network team as well. A lot of people actually asked this question about SpaceX and Starlink. Let's go and roll that next question, please.
This is Dave Russell, Verizon's Outside Plant Engineering. I recently vetted a fiber to the cell job at just over $500,000 just to place the fiber to a remote area. In the near future, will Verizon team with SpaceX's Starlink to provide internet and voice over IP to remote areas like this?
It's a great question. And of course, we're already using satellite to some extent, especially for remote areas and for core networks, etc. For delivering it to customer, that's still a little bit of a challenge due to the complexity of bringing down the satellite and converting it to a meaningful speed and access to many different households at the same time, because you need a converter and you need a CP or customer premise equipment in order to do it. That's still not really economical viable, but I think with the investment that is going into satellites, definitely we're going to see it. So Twofold answer. We're going to use it for our network, definitely for transmit data, and we're already doing it. So doing it for consumers probably need some more scale in order to be economically viable, in order to bring it all the way out to customers. And right now, we haven't really found that, but I can tell you, Kyle and his team are always looking into new technologies that can benefit our customers.
Good. Thank you for that, Hans. A lot of people on that with all the news that has come out recently there. Backing it up to the 2Q earnings, which you mentioned earlier, some people noted that you didn't give your 3 things to talk about at the dinner table. They're paying attention. What are the 3 things?
Yeah, how could I miss that?
It's okay. What are the 3 things that we should all be talking about right now?
I'm so sorry I missed that, because that's sort of a trademark for me. Always remember 3 things to talk to your family members. And nowadays on the video conferencing, I guess I should add. And of course, I have to say, I said it on the earnings call with analysts. Number 1, I think what you should tell your friends, family, etc., is that we manage in this second quarter to actually support all our 4 stakeholders in a really good way. Employees, customers, society, and shareholders. And I think it's unique to be able to say that after a quarter, which has been so disruptive and so tough and with so many challenges. And I'm proud that we were able to do it, to be honest. Secondly, we had a great financial performance, and the technology we're deploying with the high quality and the high performance is paying off. That's the second one. And I think that the third one, I think, is what I say every day. The number 1 priority of Verizon, I think you should tell to all your friends and colleagues and the neighbors, is that the priority is the safety and health of our employees, and that we stay true to in this pandemic, and we will continue to stay true to. And I think those are the 3 things that I want you to talk about. The first one, talk about the 4 stakeholders. That can take an hour easily if you go through shareholders, employee, customers, and society, and everything we have done, And then talk about the financial performance. Then just throw a couple of numbers from EBITDA to earnings per share and revenue. Wow, it's going to be great. And then finally ending up, talking about how we have been focusing on the number 1 priority in this pandemic, and maybe talking about yourself, how you feel. And how you feel that the company has showed up. If it wasn't good, you should say it. And that's why we have the Pulse Plus right now, because then you can answer in that as well. And we will continue to follow that, because we're not perfect. We're not doing everything perfect. But definitely those are the 3 things that I really wanted to emphasize in the conversations. I will definitely do it tonight with my family, as I have forgotten to do it myself. So it's going to be a nice dinner tonight.
Oh, they are in store. We could just show them a replay of the earnings webcast from a couple of weeks ago and get some more there. So, that brings up an interesting point. You mentioned the board and our 4 stakeholders. What's on top of mind for the board of directors right now? Folks want to know that too.
The board is, of course, following very closely how we're responding to the different crises, the pandemic, which we're reporting out to them. Then second, of course, the economical downturn, how that is impacting our business. And finally, how we are responding to the racial injustice and the steps we're taking. That is very high on the agenda for the board. And as you have seen here on Up to Speed, we're using some of our board members being part of that conversation. So they're very into what we're doing day by day in the company. And we want them to be part of it, because they are a source of great competence and great experience in these times that we can draw upon and see that we are getting even more diversity to our thinking and decision making. So definitely that's on top of the mind. And then secondly, as I said when we came out from the second quarter, we have such an exciting second half of 2020 with so many deliveries. The board is very excited about that. And we, of course, shares with the plans and what we're going to announce and how we're progressing on our plans. And I think that's are the 2 main things that the board have been focusing on lately. And actually later on today, we have a board meeting. So we're going to update them on all those items. So we have more frequency of the board meetings these days, as it's hard to be on the board meeting for 8 hours on a video conferencing. we chop them up to 2-hour meetings every second week instead, which makes it much more digestible and everybody can be active and engaged. And I think that has turned out to be good since basically the beginning of February.
Yeah, people want to know how are you breaking up your days? How do you make kind of these meetings in the past that went forever or hours? How do you break them up and make the day work for you?
I break them in usually in half-hour meetings. And if I look in my day today, I'd probably have 5 half-hour meetings with different key individual partners, customers. And then I had, today we had our SCLT, or when the executive team meets and talk about the situation, which we usually have 3 times a week. And then I have a board meeting. That's a little bit longer. That's 1.5 hours today. So that's how I break it up. I have usually half an hour meetings in order to see that I follow up on things that are happening or talking to people that give me insights in order for us to take the right decisions. And then, of course, I talk to my team members, half an hour meetings every second week with all of them one-on-one in order to see how they are doing and how I can help them. That's how I break up my days. But a lot of external time. I probably spend more time externally now than I did a year ago. And the reason is, of course, that this is time for listening and also supporting external customers, partners, social society.
Thurman Rouse wants to know, how do you see our brand partnerships continuing to expand through the year end and into 2021? Do we see bringing on additional partners to generate even more value for our customers, similar to Disney Plus or Apple Music?
We're going to use our scale in the network, the distribution, and our strong brand to find good partners that have the same brand values as us. And we have a couple in the pipe for the next 6 months. And so we're excited about that. It's not going to be 100 of them. Of course, we do partnership every day. But now we talk about flagship partnerships, which, for example, we address the whole consumer base, or in the case of Amazon, we address the whole enterprise the customer base. So we have a couple of those, and we continue to work with those that we feel fit in with our brand value, and that we're going to get more value, both of us. But I cannot disclose which they are. I guess you want to know that, but I guess then I will probably have some problems with some friends in my executive team that pre-announcing something that I'm not supposed to do.
Yeah, that's good to keep them on your side there. Hey, want to talk about this? You were on vacation last week. Walk us through, because so many people want to know outside of business how you make your personal life with your family go, and how you did all of that and what you did.
Yeah, no, I actually decided that I'm going to document a little bit my vacation, which was exciting. So I have a couple of pictures that I'm going to talk you through what happened during my vacation. So if you bring the first one up. So this picture, I guess you see it. Do you see it, Jeremy? Or it's on its way up?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, I don't see it, but I can. Okay, so the first slide you see, this is me working hard. This is very unusual, that I'm putting on some heavy gear and chopping down woods, But, I have also a boss sometimes, and my wife told me that it's time for me to get out and do some real stuff. So that's what I did. And the second slide is finally, as you can see, I got my hair cut. My daughter was brave enough to fix my hair. Not sure that you see it, but she did an awesome job to actually shorten it up. So that's happened during the week, which was an important event as well. Then, of course, a lot of sports. On the third picture, you see me swimming in the sea, in the open sea, in the Baltic Sea, out there trying to get some mileage out of this old body. And the picture after that, then you see me close by with all the gears. I love gears, so I have all the gears you can think about swimming, the hat and the pads and even this yellow small balloon so people will not hit me with the boat, because that's important when you're out in the open sea. Then if you take the next picture, more sports, of course. Played golf last week, so tried to improve my game with some improvement, I have to say. So lot of sports. And finally, of course, running with Hans, I cannot miss that. You can see on this picture how wet it was outside. It was just pouring, but weather, wind, you need to get out there. So I was out running. And finally, I think one of the most important, I had the chance to visit my mother that turned 80 earlier this summer. And you see what a fantastic present I had for her, a jersey with the number 80. So she was very happy for that. I haven't seen her wearing it recently, but at least that was one of the presents to my mother that I haven't seen for a year. And that was, I guess, extremely important. So that was a week in a summary, what I've been doing. All in all, good. And I've told everyone to get energy and relax, because this first half year has been tough. So for me, it was also important to take my part of the vacation and to lead by example, and expecting everybody else to do the same. Jeremy, that's a summary of an exciting week.
It looks like you had quite an action-packed week there, and happy birthday to your mother. Hope she celebrated in grand style, and got a jersey there that hopefully she can wear during the upcoming NFL season when that rolls around. Fingers crossed in the fall time.
Now, an avid fan of a team somewhere in the Northeast. So I leave that to be guessed.
Hey, there'll be a lot of people who chime in on that. I will leave that to them. I'll say as they picked up a good quarterback over the offseason from the Carolina Panthers. I won't go into much more than that. So Hans, thank you for answering all the questions. We'll be right back with you in a moment for final thoughts. Hey, we mentioned this earlier with 4G home internet. Let's roll this quick video and get into this next thing we're about to do. Hey, it's easy. Are you up to speed? Here's a question for you talking about 4G home internet that Andy talked about last week. If we want to go and take that slide there. LTE home internet now live in 3 cities. Which cities are they? I ask because if you answer this question by emailing us live@verizon.com, you could win some swag from the Verizon 2.0 swag store, where you folks always ask where Hans and Christy and all the team are wearing those cool Verizon shirts. So opportunity to win there. Get your answers in by the end of the week, and we will pick at random one employee who wins that. So looking forward to that. Hans, you know the answer to that, so you're not eligible to win, but want to go to you now for your final thoughts on the day, as we're looking at another busy week ahead with a lot going on.
There's so many cities. I was just worried that you're going to ask me for the cities, because with the 35 mobility cities, the 11 home cities, and now the 40. I start to get the problem to remember them all, to be honest, so I'm happy you didn't put me to that quiz today. Anyhow, I'm going to be short. I think we have covered a lot of ground here, and a couple of things that were mentioned. The VC Pulse is open. That's your way to send a message to the leadership in the company, what is going well and not doing well. And remember, the most important is you're responding, not what you're for us to get the input so we know what to act on. And I think we've had a tremendous great journey the first half year of 2020, where so many of us responded to the question, and that formulated many of our decision makings in this company. So it's a great help to make this company even better. So please continue with that. Other than that, we have a jam-packed week. I can tell you, without telling you, it's going to be a lot of announcements this week as well. A lot of technology coming up, tell you. So we're excited about that. So stay tuned. I know that Jeremy will talk about it later the week when it's appropriate to do those announcements. Finally, on a serious note, I ask you again, wherever you are, this pandemic is not over. It's far away from over, and I tell you, and I beg you, continue to use the best knowledge about this pandemic when it comes to using face masks, to social distancing, etc. It's not only about you, it's also about the people you meet. And collectively, we need to do this right in order to combat this faster. And if the Verizon, the V teamers doing their part, and we are big, we're a large organization, that will help the overall as well, even though this is a global pandemic. But we should do our part, and we should protect ourselves and our customers and friends. So by that, I hand back to Jeremy, and thank you for all the great questions and for being able to share a little bit about my vacation, which I've never done before. So that was the first one for me, but hopefully you saw that I had vacation at least. Jeremy, back to you.
Thank you, Hans. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for answering. And like I said, Hans will be joining us most every Monday to answer your questions, maybe along with other folks from the business around there to answer those questions. So don't hesitate to ask. Reminder of your resources about COVID and everything that's out there on the resource pages on InsideVerizon.com, the Street, and VZ Web for things that you need to follow along with. Finally, though, I want to wrap with a couple of things. Let's, Kyle, go ahead and take that first slide. Black history is American history, and yet we rarely spend more than a few chapters learning about it in school. So our next episode of Next 20, V-teamer David Hubbard interviews Dr. Khalil Muhammad, who is a professor of history, race, and public policy at the Harvard Kennedy School. They're going to discuss the importance of Black history and actions that each of us can take to build a more equitable future, calling it American History 101. That's tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern on VZ Up to Speed right there on Twitter, where a lot of you are watching us today. Hello. Also stream live on Verizon's LinkedIn page, Build by Yahoo, HuffPost, and In the Know. And in case you missed earlier episodes, which were focused on criminal justice reform and voter education, watch them on our toolkit available on Inside Verizon, or they're available as well through our podcast series. You can just search Up to Speed podcast on your favorite player. Next, let's go and take this video. Like to see all of this happening here. Some of our West Network team out there walking together, Purple Heart Homes for Heroes virtual walk that took part in July. Remember, you can always visit Verizon.com/volunteer for opportunities to take part in events like that one. Always good to see our folks out doing good in the communities where they live, work, and play. So important these days. Again, Verizon.com/volunteer. That will wrap it up for us today. Reminder, tracking a lot of things. We'll continue to keep you updated. We'll be back with you again tomorrow. And until next time, you're up to speed.